And there we are. Good morning, Kai.
Good morning, Adrian.
All good?
How are you?
I'm fine.
Great.
I just had a,
Great.
don't make it product placement. I try to not make a product placement here, but I had an issue with my AI agent. So it's my AI assistant. I'm a CEO, and my AI assistant isn't making me any coffee. I need to do the coffee myself. Right? That is a little bit annoying. That's one of the things AI is bad at, is making coffee for me. Actually, I always make the coffee for myself, but this is something AI hasn't changed so far. No?
Not yet, not yet. You never know.
Okay, we're talking about AI today. AI in a sense, or in regards to leadership. So let's quickly take a look at the chats. Hello Substack, hello Adrian. Hello LinkedIn, 6 people on LinkedIn, several on Substack. Twitch is alive, YouTube is alive. Hello everyone.
Hi all.
Good. AI and leadership is the topic for today. And I think it's an interesting topic because I see, first of all, several aspects here. So, and I don't even know where to start. So it's a little bit like AI is in a weird state of disrupting the market, disturbing the market as well. And we are still people doubt in AI or doubt AI at all. So the same as it was, let's say, beginning of last year, where the dawn of AI happened, and most people said it's a little bit like, it will never be a thing because it cannot replace, blah, blah, blah. In reality, it's not the real issue that things will be replaced. Humans won't be replaced. Systems won't really be replaced in near future. What actually happens, I think the actual bad thing is that things changes in a way that in a negative way, mostly in a negative way if we don't take care. It can change in a positive way here and there, especially in single person performance, but this comes at a cost. So there are multiple topics, multiple angles we will discuss today. So the primary target group is, of course, teams. So teams with leads, probably corporate sector, I would say, right? So I will, as always, talk a little bit more in the perspective, in the lens of tech leadership, and Kai in leadership general sense. I would say that, or I would start with one thing as an icebreaker moment, and then we can go from topic to topic. Is the effect on the mental stability of a team. So what I saw in tech teams was that AI improves things. So planning, reviewing, coding, doing work in general, asking for questions. You don't need to Google yourself anymore for a solution. That's Stack Overflow is a terminology in tech programming. And you don't need to do that anymore. Stack Overflow is basically literally dead now because of AI, probably ChatGPT, Call, all handled that by themselves. That makes you more productive. The problem is, now the leadership topic, leadership, or let's call them management, because that is not leadership in my opinion, sees that, oh, cool, we have now these technologies, we pay for them, right? We pay a fair amount of money, oftentimes for Cloud Code, for example. You pay for a team of 5 to 6 developers. It can cost you up to a 5-figure sum a month to actually perform as a full-time employee, as a programmer all day long, right? Most of the time in a 4-figure, but it can be 5-figure. So it's a sum you need to plan with, right? In budgets and these kind of things. So the expectations are that people now can, because we pay for that, do more with that. So instead of doing the work we have faster, we're doing the work we have plus more work, because we can go back to 100 and 110% of our working time. And that is, of course, coming with a price for the people in a system like that, because you still don't build ownership as an IC or as a developer. You still don't really take a look how you optimize things in general for the product. You still try to meet the criteria of producing enough output to be measured into dimensions, salary raise, and not being fired. That's two interesting outcomes you can achieve as an IC. What do you think about that when I say that way?
Yeah, I think basically the first topic you mentioned, that people say it doesn't affect me, or it won't come. I think it's in all the technology cycles, it's the same. So I think in the let's say 1980s, or maybe 90s, not sure, when IT came to office administration and so on. So there were many bookkeepers who said, oh, I don't have to learn this computer stuff. My calculating machine will be sufficient to do the balance sheets until I will be retired. And some of them, I think, were right, depending on the age. You can observe that phenomenon that anybody says, yeah, I don't have to adapt to this new technology. I will retire soon, or in 10 years, or whenever. But what happens with AI is that the speed of the improvements of AI are so fast, and these cycles are so short term, that it will never be sufficient to say, okay, I can stay on my chair and rely on my old competences. I don't have to deal with it. So I think that's pretty clear that AI is coming so fast that you have to adapt, or you have to deal with it in any way. I think in a lot of companies, especially in German companies, you have the effect that the management is still struggling with data security, and now with this EU AI Act, and they restrict the usage of AI systems. And I don't think that this is the way to go to keep on an innovation level with abroad companies who are using AI extensively. And I read an interesting study a few days ago, which was mentioning the shadow AI. So what happens when the management rejects to use AI officially in the company? The team members, the employees are using ChatGPT with their private version or whatever. And this is a kind of Wild West. So one's dealing with maybe ChatGPT, another is using Google, next one is using Grok or whatever. And I think it's Wild West, I think, is the right term for that.
In CTO groups as well the case. So there are several WhatsApp groups, I mean, in Slack groups, and they all have the same issue there. It's like, I want to introduce AI, but everyone already has AI and wants to stick to their solutions. The problem is, I have the same problem. So I have a big knowledge database, so a DKMS. Is it actually that acronym? So data. So, knowledge management, right? And yeah, I have my own rack. I have my own everything. I have my personas, all my mentoring, all my ideas, all my content, all my transcripts is condensed into actual into actual knowledge. So if I want to use this in my company, I would need to share this with my company. That's another issue for me, right? Which I don't want to, because it's personal stuff. Yeah. So I need to have an additional thing, which my team is actually, or needs to build it up. So if I want to have a tech team which is working on a shared knowledge database, we need to build that database first, right? We need to have that knowledge first. How do we work? What is the developer's persona here? What is the idea of delivering software? And not just having a coding client. Software development, for example, is much more than just coding. And the problem is, if you say AI to developers, they think, my coding tool, you mean Copilot, right? No, I don't mean Copilot. I mean AI in terms of the holistic process, right? And I agree that term shadow, how was it calling?
Yeah, shadow AI, it was named in this.
I'm not familiar with that term, but with a thing, right? So interesting. A question for the audience listening right now. Quite a few people there. Hello, everyone. So are you using AI? Type it into the chat if you have the time to do that, right? If you have the time, do you use AI at work, and do you use it in the context of the company, or just by yourself, aka as a shadow AI user? So are you in the shadows, lurking in the shadows, or are you actually dealing openly with your team regarding that? That would be very interesting. So dare to comment, even though you might be in an interesting meeting right now and listening as a shadow audience person to that stream. Just comment, just keep it simple. So go ahead, sorry, I was interrupting you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And so I think there are many topics enterprises have to deal with in order to use or introduce and establish AI tools properly. And I suppose that most of the companies or enterprises are using only a small percentage, or only leveraging a small percentage of the potential which is appearing with AI. And it's the absolutely wrong topic to put your head in the sand and wait until it's over. It will be over, but rather or faster for your enterprise than with the effect of AI on. And
so when you think into the future, so by the way, we're going to the comments in a moment. So your chance to push more comments, right? Where do you see the future? So is it a good sign that we have that shadow AI, right? So people using that. So is that a good thing? So do you see that as a start of something better? So is it a signal for leadership we need to do something? Or do you think that this is actually a sign? I think you were mentioning something in pre-stream that how have you put it? That it basically shows problems with leadership right now. So it basically reveals what the leadership is doing bad right now, the culture is doing bad right now, if everyone is just using Wild West AI style. So what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely the wrong way. So if you have this chaos in systems and everybody's using anything, you don't have a trained GPT or a dedicated LLM or whatever for the need of your company. And if you yeah, let's say not all the users are trained to use AI properly. And when it comes to wrong prompts or bad prompts, you get, yeah, it's the same principle as everywhere, shit in, shit out. And if the AI starts with hallucinating or just telling fairy tales, then you have a problem when you use it in the business context. So I think the proper way is to decide for a strategy, company-wise, enterprise-wise, for using which tools, and also building the custom prompts or dedicated prompts which are trained or tailor-made for the need of the enterprise. And I can remember 2 decades ago, or maybe 2 decades ago, mobile phones were coming, and in the it's more than 2 decades, but in the beginning, the mobile phone contracts were pretty expensive, and the companies were restrictive who gets a company mobile phone. And it also started that some of the employees, when they were traveling or visiting a customer, they were using their private mobile phone. Others didn't and said, no, it has to be restricted. If the company wants me to use it, then the company has to pay for it, and so on. And I would suppose that's the same in or similar in the usage of AI. So, but not every private person will have a pro version of any AI solution. And so the quality of the results won't be that you won't want to have or achieve when you use it as an enterprise.
So wait a second. I'm searching something. So there is a solution. I was talking about that with several leaders and coaches in the last days, actually. Tools like LangDoc. So there's a tool called LangDoc, and I think this tool aims for exactly what you just said. So when it comes to prompting, I think it is mostly about pre-prompting and the so-called RAG, so the augmented retriever thing, where you actually have the same basis. So I think when it comes to prompting in a company, it is a little bit like you need to describe every problem with an intelligent question or a prompt. So you need to do that anyway. But the point is the context. So the less context you give about a precise matter, the more gaps you will get. So the more gaps the AI need to fill. So the AI is trained to fill gaps. That is the purpose. It cannot do anything. It is not like a human, which is trained to say, I don't know that, right? So it is really hard to get that I don't know that from the AI. And it's not like the AI is stupid, but the AI is not built like that. And the more precise we are with the underlying data, right, the better things become. The more precise things become, and the less gaps we have, the less symptoms like hallucination we have. And LangDoc came to me as a solution which a lot of corporate companies use to actually share this exact context in between teams. I never saw tech teams using this, because in my space it's more like people do that with their versioning systems and rag systems like Quadrant, or sometimes even Obsidian as a knowledge database management, but mainly focused on the tools which handle code, like Cloud Code, these kind of things. But LangDoc seems to be something general leadership needs to consider very early on in the next years to come, actually this year already. So if I would be a corporate, like we have corporate clients in that space, in German, large corporate clients, and I think that it would be very strange if they wouldn't have something like that and would say that AI is a thing. Then they need to take the responsibility and the ownership to actually provide the necessary tools. But we get then to the problem that every team does have specific problems when it comes to AI, when it comes to business context. So every team needs to own again their specific context and need to curate that. So I think one of the big issues with AI, and I see that with a lot of devs, is that devs who are, or developers who are very bad in what they do with AI, they are, or say that AI is very bad in what they do, is actually like they do a little bit like the lazy prompting, no context at all, just I don't want to do this, please help me, please fix that. It's a little bit like, that's not a prompt, that's begging for help, right? That's not prompting. And but if you are disciplined, if you have your context files, if you have managed your database right correctly, and you have made changes and you curate the changes back into the knowledge database, which is now a practice you need to do as a human being and as a professional, you need to curate your knowledge as a team, as an individual, and that process needs to be aligned with the company. Have you shared something, or have you experienced something like that already in companies? Is that a thing in your space, or is it not?
I didn't hear anything about a topic like that yet, but I don't have the 100% overview, so it's not representative for what I see. But yeah, I think depending on the branch the companies are dealing or are located in, it's different how they use AI anyway. But when it comes to leadership, I think it's similar over all the industries. So let's say it in one sentence. A bad leadership or a bad leader will be disguised more fast than before, because everybody has a chance to ask AI what's the leader is doing, and is that correct, or is it according to a management handbook or whatever. And so I think it's more and more crucial that a leader is real, carrying the identity of a leader, and not only saying, yeah, I have this bubble in the org chart and I'm superior to you all, and you have to serve me. And that's I think let's say business clowns will be disguised faster than ever, and so it comes more and more to the real leadership topics.
So how would a situation look like when people in the team use AI to understand, let's say, what are the dangers for a team management person, right? So a management level with AI. So let's say the bottom people in a management perspective, right? So sorry to say that, but it's sometimes it's really that perspective, right? It's like my people there down there, the worker nodes. When these people suddenly get a technology, which this is not suddenly, that actually happened, it is there, right? And now they can inform themselves what's going on, what are my chances on the market, what could I do, what can I do to actually improve, right? And you have never done that as a manager, so you never helped the people by yourself. You always give them like just goals and say you need to do this, you need to do that. You in performance meetings, you tell them you need to become that person, but it's your problem how, right? But if you now give the people AI and still act like that, they will become that person, but probably not in your company. And I think that is one of the issues, because now they have the tools to become better, but do they want to become better in the context of yours? That's the question I would ask myself as an employer and manager, right?
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. But going one step back, I think in the past and even nowadays, when an employer is meeting, an employee is meeting with some friends, and one of the typical chat topics are, yeah, in my company, my manager did this and that. And then you have the feedback of your friends, and they say, "Oh, it's similar at our company," or "Oh, how can they do that that way," and so on. And with AI, you have the chance to reflect everything your manager is doing with a network which is very broad and yeah, infinitely broad compared to your 2, 3, 4 friends when you have the after work beer, for example. And you get a very much faster feedback. And I also observed that a lot of people are using an AI app as a kind of a sparrings partner to discuss topics, daily topics, and also business topics. And if the manager says, "Yeah, you have to finish that in that time," or whatever, then it will be revealed very much faster.
A funny aspect is that my parents-in-law, they don't really use the internet, so a little bit, right, but not really. But when they saw ChatGPT the first time, they basically it was like a technology revolution for them. It's suddenly all the questions are solved, right, for them. And I know a person from Slovakia, just a non-tech person, just a person from my neighborhood, and they had problems with the German law system and tax regulation system, like we all Germans have, because it is very complicated. And she was a little bit like, oh, I couldn't stand it, right? And then I showed her ChatGPT, and she was then using that app, right? But said, yeah, but it's not my language. And I said, just write it in your language. And she got back a voice response in her language, in the correct accent. And she was so stunned that ever since, she's just using that app, the same like my parents-in-law, the same like everyone I personally know who understood how powerful that strangely cost-effective solution for yourself is. So it is, that's a weird part, that it is so cheap for the people. That's one of the things I would be concerned with, but it's another topic for another day. So I agree with you. Just wanted to give a little bit of a broader context of that society is really easy to get into the AI usage, but not in the context of a company. So yes, we have that Wild West, and suddenly you have the sparrings partner, you have the AI coach. I was talking about that in videos already, that you are sitting there, and very often before you get to a coach, a mentor, or a course, you just ask ChatGPT or your preference client, right, about how you're going to do this, and you get so many patterns already back that you are overwhelmed in that moment anyway, right? So you don't really go anywhere because you think you need to work down those things before that. And that is a disruption as well. That is a disruption for the coaching market as well. That's a disruption for everything, because people sitting there and start to solve their problems in private instead of as a team. That's what I see in tech as well. So everyone is solving their AI problems in isolation and think that I can do more alone than with my teammates, because my teammates, they are not like me working with that one. I want to work alone. That, in my opinion, are the negative sides based on positive things. So it's a little bit like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? And it's a little bit. What do you think when I say that?
Yeah, that's absolutely the topic, and I suppose that a lot of enterprises are doing more and more regulations regarding AI instead of doing or initiating a proper transformation, so that these benefits of AI are used in a company sense, senseful and beneficial. And if you don't do that, it's absolutely lost momentum. Yeah, in doubt, your competitors will use it and overtake you on the right lane. And yeah, so there are definitely challenges, and especially when it comes to leadership, it's more. I think it's there are no new regulate or leadership guidelines necessary. It comes always back to the basic topics like having the right identity, shaping your character as a leader, having the self-discipline to lead yourself before you are leading others, and so on. And this is no difference when you compare it to an enterprise in the 1960s, or yeah, when you read the management books of Peter Drucker, manager of 3M, for example. And this works always. It worked with generation X, Y, Z, and so on. You have to adapt a little bit, but the basic things, the basic 80%, 90%, maybe 95% are always the same. And the only difference with AI, the people have the chance to gather that knowledge in a second or in a millisecond, and also challenge the leading person or the manager when it comes to that. And so I think the human factor is more and more important.
So does a leader needs to understand or use AI in daily life as a pioneer for the team in order to become a role model for the team? What do you think?
I think at least he should know about it. So let's say so intensely that he can estimate what's the beneficial topics regarding the team or the daily business. So what you mentioned in the beginning, that a lot of managers are thinking, okay, great, AI is coming, then I can put 130% of the workload to all my employees, and I will have a 30% increased EBIT or outcome. And this is not the right approach. So first you have to understand, as a top management or middle management, whatever, what is realistic, what's necessary for that. So also ChatGPT, even in the pro version, isn't the solution for everything. You need automatisms in some topics. You need dedicated LLMs.
People are lazy.
I'm not a software guy, so you can explain.
So people are lazy. People I am lazy. Everyone is lazy because that's the reason why we need to have self-discipline to do actually something. That means since most of the people will stick to what works for them and not, taking a look beyond what's possible. So I think that you said ChatGPT. In that case, I think that ChatGPT Pro, or the business version of it, is actually one of the most used solutions for exactly that. So they use it for basically everything. I had a meeting that week, a mentoring, where that was actually exactly the case, exactly the matter that we basically talking about. The entire, and it's not the first time I see that. Most people are doing that. You have this one huge filled client application with a lot of stuff about your life, and you are absolutely depending on that app. And I think the issue is to get the knowledge database, your persona, your identity, your knowledge, all the things, into another AI. So for example, if I'm using for 2 years now ChatGPT, right? I'm building up my entire thing, my memorization, memory, everything is there. My database, my rack, or is it actually a rack? Or internally it is. And then I decide, I want to work with Gemini, right? What do I do then? So it's a little bit like I can start to copy and paste some things into Gemini and hope for the best. But that is a approach. That's not good. That's lazy. Don't do that. It is like you restart fresh, because an LLM does not know about you. It does only know about the prompt, right? And you need to get something before that. And I think that's the reason why we have so many issues. I basically Langdog, that was my idea, because that came to my mind that is probably a possible solution for that, because the issue is for me not really the LLM. People say the skills for Claude, the specialized LLMs. I don't believe in them, because I think that is an optimization. But the people are not yet there to optimize. The people the teams especially don't even have the basics set up. So why optimizing? Why should I use a specialized version of Cloud Code to review my stuff when the standard Cloud Code is good enough to review, but I don't even use it? It's a little bit like that A to B problem, right? The hen and egg problem. And so I think that we should start with the foundations first. It's based on discipline again. Let's do that as a team. Let's go for compromises, because we need to compromise. So we need to say that, okay, I'm using now a context which isn't my personal context in a company and a team, and I want to drive that forward. So I need to reduce myself to the common denominator in the team, but there must be someone who is actually facilitating that. The team lead, the management. So if the management doesn't care about that, then, well, what can we expect? Actually, not a lot, right? So that was just my train of thought right now. What do you think about that?
It comes to under the bottom line, you have to organize it properly, and it's also like before AI. If you don't brief your team properly, if you don't do a team workshop to have the common vision, to have the same understanding, and also coming to culture. And what happens if you're using AI then undisciplined? It's like you have a new team member and you don't give him a proper onboarding process. And what you mentioned with you have trained on ChatGPT, learned a lot about you, and if you're switching the system, it's like you have a team member which is working closely with you for 4 years, for example, and is leaving. or she's leaving, and a new one is coming. You don't have overlapping, and they can't do a proper handover. And you say, okay, there's all the work of these 4 years. Have a look in it and do it in the same way. I think everybody could bet a few bucks on it that this won't work. And I think with this AI, especially the I term, the intelligence in this term, makes the people think that you can do it without training or instructing properly. And we come back to the shit in, shit out.
First, two aspects about AI, right? It is artificial intelligence, but the point is, it is not intelligent. That's the first thing. The second thing is, we don't use it in an intelligent way, which means that there is a lot of wrong things about AI right now. So, and the issue is that the human condition is much about resistance to change, laziness, procrastination, saving energy, because that is how humanity actually survived the harsh times thousands of years ago, right? Today we have other harsh times. We don't have the bottom line problem in Maslow's pyramid. So, the standards are pretty much solved in the world, no, actually the Western world. And purpose is more the problem than before. So purpose was survive back then. Today's purpose, what could I become, right? It's a little bit like the complex stuff. But that is so much change, so much potential, that we tend to, maybe we need to save energy again. It's maybe, and AI, instead of we using AI to get to our purpose, we using AI to shortcut to procrastinate further, right? And I think that's one of the issues. So we try to get things done quickly instead of doing things right. We do more things instead of actually finally meeting quality standards of ourselves and for others. So most people don't use AI to become a more disciplined person or use it in a disciplined way because they weren't disciplined before, right? So it is what you said, garbage in, garbage out. That's AI doesn't make you better. It just makes what you do faster, or you do more of that, right? And I think these kind of things are, let's talk about a comment. I would say, AI has transformed my workplace culture by shifting my role from traditional ETL-focused data engineering, building AI-driven, compliance-orientated production-grade pipelines using LLMs and cloud-native architectures, enabling faster automation, smarter decision-making, and reduced manual turnaround time. So that, first of all, sounds very positive. I needed to look up the terminology because I always forget what it means, but it's something with extraction, something with database stuff, right? I'm not a backend person anymore, more kind of front end and product person, so forgive me about that. But that one sounds positive. What do you think when you listen to that? Does it sound positive in the perspective of an IC?
From my perspective, it sounds positive, enabling faster, smarter decision making, reducing manual turnaround time, and what's also reduced by that, I would suppose, is that the human factor. So if you had a bad night, if you're exhausted, you are not on 100% of your performance level, of the normal performance level, then there can happen mistakes, or it takes longer to do the right decisions or to do the right steps. And I think in execution of that, it's safer to use automation or an AI system if it's trained well enough.
I think that's a positive. It is a positive example that you can do it, but in my opinion, that is not the norm thing right now. So right now it's more like especially in Germany, I would say it's not really implemented yet. The idea of how we actually use it, not in corporate, not in small businesses. I think that, the engineers, typical international software engineers, people who are thinking internationally, they have an easier time to adopt AI because software engineers are very close to AI. And when the AI boomed, actually in the beginning, the dawn of AI, they were actually the first ones using it, Copilot, these kind of things. Even before ChatGPT arrived, there were already coding solutions. So I think that the adoption in tech space is already further than in other spaces, but it's not yet good. That is what I wanted to say as well. It's like a lot of discussions there. It sounds good. It actually sounds a little bit too good. Sorry when I say that, when I read the comment. But yeah, it can happen. So it is good for me as well. I can say that. But I'm spending an enormous amount of time to actually build out AI for me and for my team. Right? It's like I was sitting yesterday evening for 2 hours there sorting my knowledge database out, right? And creating new stuff. It is actually quite a lot of work, but I'm a disciplined person. I could have spent time with my family, but I was doing that one, so it was a trade-off. I don't want to do this every day, but AI isn't like a magic tool. If you just use AI like, hey, I just want to do, I just want to shortcut to a result, then it doesn't really work. You need to curate this, right? We've talked about that in the context of PageBar, context of coaching as well, that when a coach wants to create a AI version of him or herself, right, then you need to spend a lot of time curating that database knowledge, right? That vector or the embeddings, the vectors for that later, that is actually something you spend most time on. And I don't think you just can, create a little bit of all your transcripts, put that into one folder and, give it a go, because that after 1 year, that is way too much context for every LLM. You can't just go for 10 million LLMs. You can't pay for that, right? So you need to have something where you still need to work time. And I think that is a overlooked fact that if we want to use AI right, it is actually a lot of manual labor. It is not automation. AI is not about automation. If you do it right, AI can help you automate things, right? But the real effective usage of AI in domain-driven business contexts, right, is that we need to put time before using AI and after using AI curation into maintaining that strong tool, right? Does that make sense?
Sorry, what was the word?
Tool. What?
The line was bad on my side.
I talked about a lot, so I don't know which word you mean.
The last half sentence was missing.
So it's if you want to use AI correctly, you need to make sure that you spend a lot of time before using AI, during using AI, and after using AI, like the curation of things. So curating, let's say, if you have a transcript, which is a practical example, you have a session with a team, like you have made decisions in the team. You have discussed problems in that session. You have a lot of interesting findings during that session. So now you have a transcript. Now what? You just push that, to OneDrive, or what exactly are you doing with that? So you need to curate this. Someone needs to sit down, curate the important aspects, create or put that into a knowledge database, create embeddings, at best vectors for an AI. You can probably use tools we mentioned like LangDoc to do that for you, but you need to do that. You need to do that process. You need to decide this and that aspect is something the future shared AI needs to know, because we have made a decision. Just go and be messy with your transcripts doesn't cut the mustard here. I'm pretty sure about that, right? That's what I wanted to say about that, the long version of it.
Yeah. Okay, great. Got it. Yeah. I think it's similar to the knowledge bases or knowledge management wikis and so on, which were popular a few years ago. If you only put in information. It's only a big archive, and nobody finds anything. And it's maybe a little bit better if you are searching with AI to find the results, but and you have to you need this curator. You have to put effort in to make it let's say in little digestible portions. And I think this is all top management decision which is required, how to proceed for the enterprise. And this is comes back to the leadership topic, and the leadership, the top leadership team has to define what way to go with using AI.
I slowly but steadily need to get to an end because I have a follow-up meeting. That's one of the downsides of streaming in the morning, that I'm actually streaming in between meetings. But I really like that discussion, and I would like to go a little bit deeper next week into AI topics. Let's think about what we can discuss there, right? And maybe you can take a look, and I can take a look a little bit more into our daily lives with the clients we have, the people we work with, where what kind of issues there actually are, and then just bring that to the plate next Wednesday. What do you think about that?
Yeah, great idea. And I think also if somebody of today's audience having a topic or a question, push it to Adrian or push it to me, and we will take it and talk about it next time, or the time after next time.
The time after next time. In the next month, we have we want to do actually an outdoor event where we record things outdoor, maybe even streaming outdoor. Let's take a look if that works. In the Black Forest, going for a leadership hike. We've planned that for actually quite a while, but now so we could have done that already before, but it wasn't the time. Now it's not an excuse that it now gets warmer again. We get into spring. We could have done that in I'm out basically every day, but I'm looking forward for that one. That would be probably a funny, interesting event. So let's take a look for that one. Yeah,
absolutely. Looking forward to it too.
And Kai is a coach. It makes sense to take a look for him, the inner architecture. He's very much specialized on the idea that you need to regulate yourself, right? To find a balance, to find a discipline. That is something, if you actually need to work on that, and I'm pretty sure you need to, because I think everyone needs to work on that, including me, is something, if you don't have someone, take a look for him. He's a great person, a lot of patience, and probably much more stoic than I am. Right, but even though I'm telling about that, but he is actually more the stoic than I think. Right, just a recommendation.
It's always depending.
I use stoicism primarily to get my ADHD under control. That's what I'm using it for. I have too much energy. I have following too many paths. It's not like I don't need motivation to start something. I need discipline to stop things I shouldn't do, right? That's a little bit my issue.
No. Also the breaks and the recreation is crucial.
It is.
To perform outstanding.
Have we streamed about that already? I think so, isn't it? But it is a good topic.
I think we mentioned it, but maybe this could be also a good topic for the outdoor session.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good topic for the outdoor session. How to recreate correctly without procrastinate.
Yeah.
Good. So everyone, thanks for joining in. Thanks for tuning in. Substack, have a nice day. YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn. And have a good start into the day for all the people from Asia who were watching today. have a good start into your evening. And if the Americans wake up, good morning. See you next week. Goodbye, everyone.
Have a good time.